Welcome to the middle class of America. Women are working, it's the 1950s, cars, suburbia, clothes are starting to change. As we move to the suburbs and we get in a car, we're going to start getting rid of the hat. If you live in a commuter city, you can still wear your hat on the train or the subway, but if you're California or Arizona, you're going to be getting in a car, and it starts to change the way we dress, both for men and women. We're going to start losing that fedora and maybe a pillbox hat for everyday wear. I want to point out here, this is an outfit from probably about 1954 to 56. The fabric is knit. And there were certain places across America that were very big knitwear cities for women's wear. San Francisco was one, Seattle was another, Minneapolis and New York. These were cities that women wore a lot of these up-and-coming new types of knits. This would be considered a boucle. It's got a lot of texture to it, kind of a really kind of slub texture here. It's done in 100% cotton because we're not really using synthetics yet for business wear. We use them for sleepwear and maybe sporting goods outfits, but for everyday and for better dresses, we're using natural fibers. So this was a two-piece. But I want to point out that we still have a bit of the 40s influence with this gored skirt. It has a little bit of a A-line flare to it. And we start about 1955 getting that very pencil skirt look. But we could tell this is definitely after World War II because of the amount of fabric that was used. This would have been knee length. On the sweater, and the sweater would have been much shorter because of the rationing for both fibers and the amount of goods that you could purchase during World War II. But here again is a knit that was very popular in certain cities around the country. So staying with the 1950s, and you'll see a little bit of outerwear here. I think these are just things that were preserved by my family, and I'm thinking that outerwear was something that you kept for a long time. And so when I was going through closets, that's what I found a predominance of is some of the outerwear. Not thinking Arizona, but thinking San Francisco, in the summer it's still cold. And you need a topper or you need some type of jacketing. And this particular piece is definitely something that would have been a spring or summer fashion. The swing to it just tells us this is 1950s. We have the straightness of the skirt here, but we also see gathers at this time, and definitely going into the 1960s we're going to see both a slim look as well as the bouffant look. But here you can see 3/4 sleeves were very popular because people still wore gloves, and so when they'd go out and it was cooler, they would have a 3/4 glove that either came midway up the forearm or all the way to the elbow, and those would be worn so that you were covered and you would stay warm. Another little swing coat here I look at reminds us of Lucille Ball, if anybody has watched Nickelodeon. And you see this, again, that straight skirt, but it's still full enough to cover some of the bouffant dresses that were worn. And again, this is a spring coat. The fabric, of course, lends itself to that rather than in wool. And this actually is an early mixture of cotton and silk and acetate. So that was really a brave new world for our fiber blending and our designers, our fabric designers. But there, this gives you that shape that covers both a bouffant skirt and a rather straight skirt. We're going to come back to this time period a little bit later, but right now we're going to move from the 50s into the 60s.